안녕하세요, hey you, it's Natalia, and today I will be sharing some of my favorite language learning resources for intermediate learners of Korean. Oh my gosh, hair got in my mouth and that was just a mess. But yeah, so anyway, today's video is actually a collab with Chloe from Straw Blondie Studies. You might recognize her from Instagram because she has a bomb Instagram. She's also a YouTuber, obviously, so definitely check her out. But anyway, so today I will be covering grammar, reading, and writing skills for Korean, and Chloe will be talking about listening, speaking, and vocabulary skills. So if you're looking for resources for those skill sets, make sure to check out her video after this one. Go, go. Let us begin with my favorite skill to advance, and that is grammar. I don't know what I'm doing. Grammar. But my favorite, or I have two resources that I want to talk about for improving your grammar skills or your knowledge of Korean grammar, and they are, ready, drumroll please. Boom, okay, I got it. I say it like it was so hard. So the first one I wanted to introduce you guys to is Correct Your Korean 150 Common Grammar Errors. So I really like this book because unlike other common error books, it's not talking about errors that beginners make. It's talking about errors that you and I make. It's talking about errors that people who have been studying Korean for a while are making. So I know on the cover it says learners of the beginning to intermediate level of TOPIK. No. I'm sure beginners are making these mistakes too, because if you're intermediate and you're making these mistakes, obviously the beginners should be making the same mistakes, right? But based on the example sentences and the way they explain things in this book, beginners would not understand the Korean in it. So this book is in English. So I bought this book in Korea when I was there in January, so January 2019, at a Korean bookstore. So the text of the book is actually in English, and then all the example sentences, of course, are in Korean, because obviously the rigor of the sentences are way too hard for any beginner learner to be reading without having to translate the whole thing. Also, you would have to have a knowledge of more intermediate and advanced grammar structures in order to even understand what the sentence is trying to say. So it's definitely not something that beginners should be using. This is something that honestly, I think you would have to have been studying intermediate level Korean for a while to actually be able to get as much as possible out of this book without having to translate all the vocabulary and sentences in here, because it doesn't teach vocabulary at all. Like, you need to already know the vocabulary, or you need to be looking it up as you go through the example sentences. It's really good at like keeping my attention, so I highly recommend this book. Like, I highly recommend this book. I think you can get it on Amazon for like $40. It's really expensive there, or if you speak enough Korean, you can order it off Aladdin, which is the Korean bookstore. And then I know they ship to the US and Canada, and I think they ship to other countries if you use the Korean site, because they have a Korean website that ships to the US and Canada, and then I think their regular Korean site ships to other international countries. I think. I live in the US, so I've never tested the other one, but I think it does. While editing this video, I realized that you can also get this book on Two Choice, which is a popular website to get Korean textbooks straight from Korea. Personally, I've never ordered anything from their website, but I know Korean learners who have, and they've always had a great experience, so you can definitely look at getting the textbook from them. However, I have heard that the shipping is quite high, so I would definitely take that into consideration when looking at purchasing the book from them. Alright, so the next grammar book that I want to talk about, or next book that I really like using for grammar is, we had to do a drum roll. Are you ready? Oh my god, ready? Boom. Okay, so that is my Ihwa book. So right now I'm working through Ihwa 3.2. So as you'll notice, this is actually the study guide. It's not the textbook, because honestly, I don't use the Ihwa textbooks that much because they don't explain the grammar very well in the textbook. It's usually like 2 sentences being like, this conveys a guess. Cool. But the study guide goes into detail about this can be used in X, Y, and Z situations. It can't be used in ABC situations. Like, it shows you how to conjugate verbs with it. It shows you what the irregulars look like when you are using that grammar structure. It shows you correct ways to use this, like the grammar structure, and incorrect ways to use the grammar structure. So I'm just like in love with these books. I want to say maybe like halfway through this like second half right here right now, and I just really like it. I highly recommend it for grammar. It's one of my favorite places to learn grammar is with these study guides. Moving on, we're going to be talking about resources to improve your writing skills. So for me, I don't actually have like a textbook or like a physical resource that I use to improve my writing. skills, I mainly just like text my Korean friends. Like, they're not checking my grammar, they're not checking my spelling or anything like that. I have to really mess up for them to say anything, but it's just like the constant practice of like, oh, I think I spelled this wrong, let me look it up. Oh, I want to use this grammar structure, let me look it up because I feel like I'm using it incorrectly, things like that. And I know not everyone has Korean friends that they can just like text to improve their writing skills, so I'd like to recommend that you guys try Tandem or Hello Talk. They're both language exchange apps. I did that when I first started learning Korean because at the time I had literally 0 Korean friends, like 0. So I remember I was texting a lot of people on those apps just to practice writing and practice making my own sentences and things like that. I'm sure if you're at an intermediate level that you've like already tried them, I just like to like, I guess, encourage you to keep doing it. If you don't feel comfortable talking with strangers, then I would like to suggest like writing a diary. And although no one will be checking your diary, it really helps to move things from passive to active memory, meaning you might have learned it in one of your grammar books, but you haven't been using it, so it's kind of not really there yet. Keeping a diary really helps you do that. It also helps you like track your progress and stuff. I've talked about this before in this video right here. Talked about how a diary actually helps me stay motivated during this like awkward intermediate plateau, so you can check that out later if you'd like. But I think that keeping a diary is very, very helpful. When it comes to more academic and professional Korean writing, I haven't found like a resource that I can necessarily recommend yet, but I have found an italki teacher that's going to help me with my writing skills. I'm currently preparing to take the TOPIK in April. Pray for me. I'm scared, but I'm hoping that by having a teacher that will give me writing assignments and give me feedback on those sentence structures and the vocabulary that I'm using, I'll be able to improve my skills there outside of the very regular everyday writing that I tend to do with my friends. So that's what I have come up with. That's what I'll be doing personally in 2020 to improve my academic Korean writing. Moving on to reading, my favorite resource right now, literally like my favorite resource is this one. Oh wait, hold up, we gotta do a drum roll. Oh my gosh, it's not even like it's not even like a drum roll, it's just me flailing my arms and getting hair in my face. Oh my gosh, brush it off. Okay, anyway, so that resource is it's Generation Gap or 세대 차이, which is basically a book full of cultural essays at the upper intermediate and advanced level, or at least that's what it claims. Personally, I feel like it's more for intermediate learners and advanced learners, but then again, I haven't gotten to the end of the book yet, so I can't say anything. Anyway, okay, so I really like this book because I love the way that it is structured. So when it starts off, it gives you a little background information in English about the essay that you'll be reading. It's literally just like probably like 4 or 5 sentences, and then it goes into giving you pre-reading questions, so questions that you should be considering while reading the essay, and it'll give you some core vocabulary, meaning it'll make you aware of about 5 to 6 vocabulary words in Korean, but it won't translate them for you yet because it wants you to learn them by reading the essay. Honestly, I love reading them because they expose me to academic Korean. It's not like, this is my diary entry. It's like, no, it's like an actual essay, so you can see more advanced sentence structures, and you can see more high-level vocabulary and see what longer Korean sentences look like. Honestly, sometimes I see this, like the sentences in these essays, and I'm like, is this not a run-on sentence? I feel like my teacher, like my English teacher from high school would be like, that's a run-on sentence, change it, you know what I mean? But okay, so then it goes on to ask you a ton of comprehension questions, you know, just to make sure that you understood what you read. So it has true and false questions, free response questions, multiple choice questions, and then it also has vocabulary questions. So the vocabulary, it's just like testing some of the vocabulary that's very specific to the essay. So for example, the first essay is all about cultural differences between Korean like high school, university life and American high school and university life. So it'll ask you, like, wants to check your knowledge of words like education system, compulsory education, private school. And then at the very end, it has some discussion questions, which I'm not in a classroom setting, so I don't really discuss them. I could probably write an essay on them, attempt to write an essay on them if I really wanted to get as much as possible out of this book. And then it has the vocabulary list at the very end of all the words that specifically relate to what you were reading in the essay. But anyway, I highly recommend this book. You can get it for about $30 on Amazon. They also have a beginner version. So I know this book, like this like video is for intermediate learners, but if you happen to just be really motivated beginner learner and you made it to this part of the video, they actually have a beginner version that you can also get on Amazon for about $30. It's not cultural essays, but it's like folk tales, so it tells you like Korean like stories and stuff. And I assume it's laid out the same way. I don't have it, I've never seen it in real life, so I'm not sure exactly how it's set up, but I would assume it's a similar format. But yeah, I highly recommend this book for anyone that has access to Amazon. You should definitely get a copy of this book. I don't think you'll regret it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just love it. Moving on, so if you guys are looking for resources to help you improve your listening, speaking, and vocabulary skills, make sure to check out Chloe's video right here. I think it's right here. Anyway, Chloe and I will also be doing a Korean study challenge this month, so the whole month of January. So make sure to keep an eye out on both our channels for those videos, as they will be coming out weekly. And all the resources that I listed off today will be in the description box for you guys as well as that video about keeping a diary in your target language. So I will see you guys in the next video. Let's have a great 2020, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. So tell me bye, you guys. Bye bye.